Oh man. So I mean, yeah, I watched the Bill and Ted's Face the Music, Bill and Ted's 3 trailer. Um, it's well, first of all, I got to tell you what happened. I watched the trailer and I knew this movie was coming for a while, and I guess it got delayed in the virus crisis and all that shit. But you know, at least it was completed and everything. They had a Bill and Ted's contest that you try to be at the end of the movie, but I didn't read it. I thought it said enter a song or use our track, and so I entered my own like the Bill and Ted theme song. So I probably won't get in the movie because I uploaded something, not because of the sheer amount of competition, not because of better musicians, not because of better songwriters or better singers or anything. In particular, that wasn't really the problem. The real problem was that I don't think I followed the instructions correctly. So it said Bill and Ted 30-second clip video. So I just did it and I just made a Bill and Ted song. So I don't know if I might be in the movie. I might have fucked it up. So you know, I would know if I get like an email that says Bill and Ted, this is such and such pictures, and then I would know that I was in it. But it would blow my mind if I was in it. Just even for 30 seconds clip, just playing guitar would be like, you know, like a surrealistic fantasy, really. I mean that's just you know strange to see yourself in a film. I mean, even if you were, my friend was, well, I guess he's still an actor, but at first he was just all acting, acting, acting. He was just doing that all the time, and so he was an extra in Pearl Harbor. So even if there's like a whole big ship of guys and he's in the Pearl Harbor scene, and even if he sees himself for a split second just standing at attention, you know, in the Navy outfit in the Pearl Harbor movie, I've never watched it to look for him, but apparently he's an extra. It's on his you know international movie database. But even if he's in there for a second, you know, at least maybe he could put the freeze on it and be like, hey, but 30 seconds of you singing or something, you'll be in the movie like for a not a you're not for a significant amount of time, but you'd be in it for you know like immortalized in that movie for that 30 seconds at the end of the credits. So there's going to be like 30 seconds clips of all the contest winners, and then it's going to be like some super you know ending song that they're gonna like stitch together. Probably you know like a homage to people or like harmony or some kind of I think it's some kind of feel good thing. I don't know if it was because of the virus they were planning to do some massive concert and they couldn't get all the extras and everybody they needed to do their maybe they couldn't finish. I don't know when the, you know some kind of post production business or if they had already planned this and it could be that they just planned it. Hey, let's just have everybody send in a 30-second video and we'll make a huge compilation of 30 seconds each at the end and make some super you know love letter to the fans kind of thing. It's very sweet, you know, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter and all, you know, you can tell that those guys are really good, you know, really good guys. And oh, you've always got that vibe from them, but you know, you never know somebody's like Mike Myerish. You hear he's like a prima donna or like an asshole behind the, but like on the screen, he seems like, hey, you know, everything's fun and shit. But I don't know whether that's true or not, but there's a reason why Wayne's World comedy doesn't work, and something like nostalgic like Bill and Ted's 3 can work in 2020, even though that's a franchise, you know, basically from 1989 and 1991. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So I saw the trailer, and I was, you know, my 9-year-old self, my 11-year-old self was ecstatic. In fact, I think I was a little bit too young to go see Bill and Ted's originally when it came out because I was 9 years old in 1989. So, but I actually went to the movie theater with my cousin and we saw Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey and we had like a, you know, effing blast and it was great. But you know, I'm not going to tell the whole like history of Bill and Ted and 80s culture and surf culture and 1980s language like excellent and bodacious and heinous and uh, all that like Valley Girl surfer lingo, gnarly and mondo and all of that jazz that people really don't say that stuff anymore. You might catch a girl say, "Oh, that was gnarly," every now and then, but you're not gonna hear like, uh, "Whoa, that's bogus, man," or you might hear some guy say "excellent," like he's Mr. Smithers from Simpsons, but it's not gonna. Whoa, that's most excellent. And Keanu Reeves is famous for his "whoa," and he even did it. I think that's what tripped me out in The Matrix is that he had started to transition to a big, like, serious action star, and then I guess the Wachowskis thought it'd be funny, like, for a callback to the '80s where he played losers, drifters, punks, drug addicts, stuff like that, and surfers from California, that sort of thing. And then so in this one scene where he's supposed to do this super jump, and Morpheus does his radical Matrix jump, he goes whoa, and it's kind of that callback was really good, well placed, well timed because it was pretty funny. Even if it was inadvertently funny, you would have to be in on the joke to know what that whoa reaction was all about, or that intonation of his tone, his sound. Um, but yeah, so I was a huge fan, and there was just like Wayne's World. They made two movies. The first one was a big hit, and then the second one was just the sequel, and then kaput. It was like, oh well, that was a thing for a while, and then it was done. And it was done, and then people went on to do other stuff and other franchises, and it was just kind of like, well, they could make one day, and year passed, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, as years pass by, 20 years, and then you look back and you're like, what? Where did all those years go? What the hell is that? And as the elderly guy in his rocking chair in the nursing home is going to think to himself, where did all my time go? It's over, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's real quick, huh? Then you're like cradle to the grave. Time's arrow, they call it, right? So Bill and Ted's is all about time, the space-time continuum. They use a phone booth to transport through time, like Doctor Who, like his TARDIS. So there's a lot of original ideas, and then there's a lot of ideas that are not so original. Back to the Future was already out, Doctor Who was already out. There had been Star Trek and all this stuff for a long time already. By the time even the first Bill and Ted's, but this was unique is that it's a science fiction comedy franchise. So that's what makes it. That's the uniqueness of it is that it's not. You're supposed to take the plot dramatically seriously, but then at its core, it's a comedy. It's just an entertainment. Like this is fun, a fun gallivant, a fun romp, a fun popcorn adventure that you're supposed to enjoy. And then, it's nice. It's kind of like being with friends again, hanging out with Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves. You did when you were, 9 years old or 10 years old, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you're just 11 years old now, and you're just like, oh, these old movies are funny. It could be that. There could be, a whole legion of kids like that. They didn't go to the theater right or see it right when it came on cable back in the day or whatever. So the trailer itself, it looks pretty cool. So in the first Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, they travel to the past, all right, using the TARDIS, using the phone booth at the Circle K. And the second one, they die, and then they go to heaven and hell, which was the bogus journey. And they meet death, and played by what's his name, William Sadler, and it's the funniest portrayal of death. It's also a joke on the movie The Seventh Seal with that Seventh Seal. It's I forgot his name. I can't believe it. So, but it's a joke about playing chess with death, except for the modern era, they play Twister and Battleship. You sunk in my battleship, and things of that nature. And yeah, I said Twister already. All these different ones. So I really enjoy this these interpretations of these and parodies of these old movies and these characters and everything. So death has returned in this movie. George Carlin was in the first two movies, but he can't because he's dead. So unfortunately, I would love to see. I don't know if you'd love to see George Carlin as a real old man, like decrepit and like pissed off in his rocking chair. I don't know. It could be funny. It could have been funny, like him like 90 years old and like in the nursing home, and he's like fuck that shit. It could have been funny seeing like Carlin get angrier and angrier and more cantankerous and not funny from a perspective of, oh look, the guy's falling apart, but funny from the perspective of him just going on rants and things like that would probably be, it's sort of like watching old Sean Connery, seeing him just really raw and just agitated, maybe not particularly by old age itself, but just by the years of experience. He's just angry at stupid shit in life. So it's obviously, since it's made in the year 2019, the special effects look incredible, better than they ever did in the 80s and 90s. The CGI, I love. They show the future world and they show the future people where it's like some utopian society and they're all floating in chairs. That part's a really nice callback. The San Dimas of the future, San Dimas, California. Apparently Bill and Ted were supposed to save the future. They're supposed to write a song that would unite the world and peace and harmony and love, but they haven't written it yet, and they're losers, I guess. I figured they would. I figured they would go with that angle. I always figured that they would go with that angle of they're like middle-aged losers. I knew that they were going to do that. It seemed obvious from the get-go that if they were going to make a third movie, things weren't going to be working out, and they weren't going to be the big rock stars, the Wild Stallions yet, and they'd be scrimping pennies and barely making it. I figured that would be the joke. That would be one of the butt of the jokes, is that they'd be like middle-aged losers. So this trailer is really, really good. It's got the nostalgic feels. Keanu Reeves has reverted back to his late 80s, early 1990s self, which is bizarre to see after all this John Wick and Matrix and all this, I'm cool and I'm kicking ass and stuff. It's kind of funny to see him go back to, hey, dudes, like his David Lee Roth 1980s hair metal mode. So it's kind of fascinating, but it's also kind of weird because he's almost, what is he, early 50s, mid 50s? He's baby boomer for sure. So he's going towards that 60th birthday destination. So it's kind of odd, watching him act 25 again, back in the day. But it's cool. It's refreshing. It's his character, so he's staying in character. Yeah, I like this. So in the first movie, they go in the past. Second movie, they go to heaven and hell, and then in this movie, they travel to the future, or a future before the future that well, that gets kind of complicated. But you have to see the trailer to know what I mean. It's kind of like I guess if you had a time machine, you could change the past, and then you could change a version of the future that you didn't like, to disastrous results. They did it in Back to the Future too, where in the first one he goes back in time, and then the second one he goes to the future. So I mean, technically, time space continuum is just a continuum. So there's the present, and then there's the future, which is coming, and then there's the past. So a lot of people would probably want to change their past. They'd probably be like, that time that I got shit faced at the company party, yeah, or that time I got arrested, I probably want to take that off my record. Or remember that really beautiful girl I was too afraid to ask out in college? I want to redo that part. So yeah, I would suspect, or maybe somebody made a bad deal, like this old man I know. He got swindled in the Enron scandal, the corporate scandal, the energy swindlers of Houston, Texas, where I live. And he lost shitloads of his retirement money, and he didn't get it back either. So he would probably go back in time in a time machine, and he would make sure he didn't invest in Enron stock, so he wouldn't be up shit creek in his elder years. Um, but if you knew future events were going to be shitty because you had a time machine, technically, then you could travel to the future too and stop events from happening in the future on that timeline if you had a time machine. Now, that's theoretically um, impossible at this point. Uh, sometimes I watch PBS Space Time just to get that theoretical flavor, but basically, no one has a time machine that we know of. At least human beings don't. As far as I know, I don't know what the government has. I don't know what they know, but as far as I know, there's no such thing as a time machine. Um, but so for now, it's just all just shits and giggles. Like, what if? What if you could change your past to make a better future? What if you could change the future to stop certain disasters? So in this case, I guess Bill and Ted's Face the Music, they're going towards the future to before something calamitous happens in their future to stop it. Like if you were to, um, there was going to be a major earthquake and it was going to kill, or maybe uh, the Yellowstone caldera and it was going to explode and destroy like half the United States. If you had foreknowledge of that, then you could either go back in time and warn people, and they would either believe you or not, or you could go in the future and if you're from the past and then stop it from happening when it comes in the future. So um, you could play it by either angle. Um, I guess going, but yeah. So you can go backwards in time, you go forward in time, and then you can go back again too. So, anyways, it gets very confusing and complicated. Uh, Star Trek movies and comedy movies and adventure movies like Back to the Future and Bill and Ted's, they barely get away with their time travel shenanigans. Barely, because there's always usually a grandfather paradox, or there's some sort of thing they screwed up that would totally change the future if it really happened. Like in Star Trek, they often lose like amazing technology back in time, and which would obviously alter the timeline. And but Back to the Future and Bill and Ted's Adventures aren't perfect either in their logic, not at all. But they're not supposed to be movies that you really think about. They're more supposed to be like you eat popcorn and you don't think about it. You just have fun. You laugh at the jokes and you laugh at the shits and giggles of it, the shenanigans. Um, is there a social message in it? Not really. I mean, it's just like these guys are losers. They can't pass history class. They can't do shit. They want to be rock stars and they want to unite the world. And because they exist and because they are in this band Wild Stallions and they write this song that saves the world, that it unites the world into peace, love, and harmony. And the future is amazing. And they often have to, and they have to fight villains, usually from the future, that try to stop them in the past and try to screw up their lives, so they never create the utopian, futuristic, amazing society of the future. And that's essentially Bill and Ted's in a nutshell. Um, okay, so the actor is Max von Sydow. I think, yeah, I think he recently passed away. I think was it? Yeah, I think. What was it, a few months ago? Did Max von Sydow pass away? Yeah, right. He died April 10th. I mean, I'm sorry, March 8th, 2020. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, Max von Sydow. Seventh Seal, where he plays chess with death along the beach. That's like one of the most iconic moments in cinema. And so William Sadler, I don't know if he's going to ask Bill and Ted just for the old nostalgic joke to play Battleship and Twister and Monopoly and all these old board games. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a 2020 version. Maybe he'll want to play online games or Fortnite, or maybe they'll have some like newer spin on it. I don't know how much it is a movie made in 2019, so in the 2020s era. Um, so I suppose it's going to have some technology from this time integrated into the humor. Perhaps they could just bust out old board games and have a nostalgic laugh that way. Um, could be that Death comes and he's like, "Hey, you want to play Monopoly?" And you want to play Monopoly and Battleship, and then like they have little girls, they have daughters in this one, so maybe the daughters say like, "Hey, no, let's play online something," or "I got a virtual reality video game," and "Yeah, people are old," something like making fun of their baby boomer middle age would probably be. Uh, well, basically we'll see when the movie drops. What is it in? Is it July 2020 sometime? I like it. It's nostalgic food for me. There's a reason why Bill and Ted's works, Bill and Ted Adventures works, and uh, something like Wayne's World doesn't work in 2020, or it doesn't work in the 21st century. It's not that Mike Myers and Dana Carvey can't be funny. It's more along the lines of their plots. The difference, I've been trying to think about, like, what is the difference between why can't you make a really banging Wayne's World movie in 2020? There's a lot of like cultural and there's lots of differences between the early 90s and the 2020s, obviously. Um, there's some similarities, but there's a whole lot of differences. Um, the plots for Wayne's World 1, Wayne's World 2 are Wayne Campbell is a loser and Garth is a loser. They want to have basically a YouTube channel, but they used to call it back in the day cable access. Like Tom Green, the comedian, he started out on cable access where he has a show. You have guests and you do comedy bits and skits, a la Monty Python, Saturday Night Live, variety show, more like Saturday Night Live or Second City Television. Doug and Bob McKenzie kind of stuff, and but it's a cable access show, so it's all access and it's for free, and then people can watch it. But most people don't watch cable access or something that's not established, So Wayne, Campbell, Garth, Algar, they have their own cable access show that nobody's probably watching called Wayne's World. It's all about rock and roll and hair metal and classic rock music. And that's, a particular niche in society that lives and breathes that stuff. Um, that's a particular kind of folks. It's not everybody is not like that. So, I mean, of course, you have tons of people that love Aerosmith and Queen, and you can make a united rock uh, movement. You can get a mass amount of people to go to see Wayne's World and laugh at these kind of jokes. Um, but the problem with the movie is that the structure of the plot is the same in every Wayne's World movie. It's Wayne's a loser. Um, he might have his like Wayne's World show become a TV show and he's a success. But then there's usually some rich guy that's an executive that I don't know wants he steals his girl and then he has to march in and save the day and save his girl from the evil corporate rich guy. And it kind of is they they um, they recycle the plot. There's nothing really new that happens in every movie. There's a lot of old jokes that are like product placement. Like Garth will get a Pepsi and go, Pepsi, the choice for a new generation. And uh, he'll get like Doritos and be like, Doritos, don't you like Doritos? Hmm. A lot of just shit that's like, it was funny when I was 12 years old, when I was 14, but now that I'm older, it's like, that's not funny anymore. So Wayne's World has a lot of plot and structural problems that can't be remedied. I would be really, really, really surprised if Mike Myers and Dana Carvey actually went back to the drawing board and made a great that they would even get greenlit for Wayne's World 3. Um, WW3, World War 3. Um, so, but there's a lot of things against it, not just time and age and health and all these other problems, issues, but there's also that the the fad is over, and really the Bill and Ted fad is over. But there's a key difference is that Mike Myers isn't hot anymore. Dana Carvey isn't hot anymore. Um, but Keanu Reeves is like a legendary silver screen powerhouse. That's going to draw in the people that normally wouldn't go to see this for like younger people that would just be like, or maybe even older people that would be like, oh, wow, I'm not going to go see that. That wasn't from my time. That I wasn't a kid when this came out. This doesn't mean anything to me. For the kids who grew up with Bill and Ted's, it means something to them. It was like part of their childhood. So it's a nostalgic part of their childhood and also their adolescence or teenage years, preteen and teen. So for those people in that spectrum, it means a lot. But for the guy who's like 60, he's just like, yeah, that was sort of funny, whatever. And for maybe the kid that's like 7, doesn't really give a shit. So, or maybe there's a guy who's 19 who thinks these movies are shitty. Could be. It could go either way, but basically, this one's going to work because it's going to have the nostalgic audience. It's going to have the Keanu Reeves audience. So it's going to have all these like factors of success. Does the movie even have to be particularly good for people to show up? Well, I mean, obviously the virus crisis, people would have to have confidence that they could actually go to a movie and not die. So that would be, and not get a coronavirus COVID-19 Wuhan Chinese bioweapon virus or whatever this is. That first they would have to be certain that they were going to get that. So I guess the people to be certain. I mean, it's kind of hard to enjoy a beer or some popcorn or some candy when you have a mask on your face. But I guess some people would go out when the chains. When is AMC going bankrupt? Like American Multi Cinema. That's the first job I ever had for like 4 years. AMC theaters. It's kind of sad to see it go, but everything changes. Technology changes. People get sick, they get old, they die, but technology just rolls on. It's relentless. It doesn't care. It's a 24/7 it's a 24/7 struggle and battle to get the greatest and the latest technology. That's what corporations and governments around the world are engaged in constantly. This competition, this advancement, this technology doesn't get sick. It doesn't ask for a break. It only just evolves and evolves and evolves. It doesn't care. So that's really technology doesn't have a conscience of its own. It just wants to improve itself, and people want to improve it. So it does have like a relentless, disciplined focus into the future. So I realize that old-fashioned movie theaters and old-fashioned stuff that we used to do might be on the chopping block in the future, especially as more advanced technologies come into the mix. I think there might be a longing for sitting in a huge theater with strangers you don't even know, enjoying something new, a new movie. But people have realized, hey, I don't have to go see a movie and be in this complex with all these strangers and all this shit. I could just do it, download the stream, download. I could just use internet technology. Why go out to the dangerous public when you could just be at home. I mean, elderly people do that naturally. Younger people are like, hey, let's get out to the mix. Wouldn't it be fun to go everywhere? Woo! But elderly people are like, shit, if I could just push a button, do nothing, that's what I'd rather do. Not that people are lazy, but obviously there are technologies that are more convenient than others. So if you had the money to sustain yourself, your family, your house, your bills, your medical insurance, all that stuff, and you could just push buttons and shit would just teleport to your house, wouldn't it? I think people would just do that. They have like if they had like quantum teleporters, you would just go, "Hey, I want to go to Paris." Just be like Star Trek. It'd be a lot easier, right? Or oh man, I need some new shoes. The drone comes, just delivers them to your porch. It's and then there'll be the old people that go, man, I used to go out to the shop and go dig around. I used to look at all the different shoes, and I used to smell the shoes and hold it in my hand, and it used to be a thing. We used to sit in the chair and get our shoes. But the younger generation is like, fuck all that. Let's look at the shoes online. And then, oh, cool. Look, the truck's here. I got my shoes. For some people, that's a lot more convenient, especially if they have all their other financial problems solved. So I know that technology always advances. So I never really feel like I'm out of time. I feel more like, well, this is the natural progression of technology. I feel like it's on course. I don't really feel like it's a nuisance to my existence or anything like that. I think it's just kind of unfolding as it's going to. It's going to happen whether I like it or not. So it's just like it's a stoic sort of optimistic acceptance of that. That's reality. That the reality of evolving technology. That's fine with me. But is there a nostalgic tear in my eye for the days of going into a big crowded people and a bunch of strangers I don't know? Maybe my mom or my best friend comes with me or something. Maybe I go with a church group. Maybe it's 20 people. I don't know all these people, but we just all go together. We all do something human together. That's fun. We do something community-wise. I guess that can be a hoot. There might be a nostalgic tear in my eye for those days. Getting the popcorn, putting the butter on it, getting the candies, and hey, let's go. Oh, look, Uncle Bob is fucking late. Oh shit, we're gonna miss the movie, and all that fun stuff. When it obviously is a lot easier to stream and just go click. Yeah, don't worry about what time Uncle Bob gets here because I recorded the movie, so we can start it even if he's running 30 minutes behind. There's not a time where I have to run and really worry about that I'm going to miss some fictional piece of entertainment, which doesn't matter anyways, really. But I said that these movies have meaning to me because things have meaning to us because they they play a part in our lives. That's what gives them meaning and memory. Um, so Bill and Ted's may just be a fiction and maybe something very silly and it's a comedy. It's silly. It's not very accurate in terms of quantum physics or quantum mechanics or anything like that. Not even in the slightest, but it's not supposed to be a scientific theoretical lecture on quantum entanglement or anything. It's supposed to be a fun, good time. So I definitely look forward to Bill and Ted's 3, Face the Music, to see a movie about, I guess, I'm going to watch about a middle-aged losers that haven't accomplished what they set out to accomplish, and they're going to accomplish it finally in this film. I don't know if I'll be in the movie. That's something that history or fate will decide because they have my video. But if I did get in it, I would be like, all right, well, I am mortal man, but I am immortalized for 30 seconds in a feature film that maybe a lot of people would watch. So I'd be like, okay, well, that's cool. that's fine with me. And if I'm not in it, I'm just gonna enjoy the movie anyway. I'm not, bitter about something like that. Uh, I gave it a shot. And if the shot doesn't work out, well, sometimes the ball hits the 3-pointer, and sometimes it bounces out. You just have to, fucking deal with it. So, best of success during the virus crisis in Texas, my home state, and in the United States of America, and also, of course, around the globe.